Oh, what the heck was that, man? New GRINN. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I had a memory leak within my like it wasn't even OBS. It was my cam recorder thing. Elgato, heavy memory leak. It just crashed my whole software. And then of course I could have quickly booted it back up and then hit go, but I have to cancel the thing that's having the memory leak issue. So I loaded up, it started lagging again. So I was like, uh-oh. I opened up my task manager and I seen that it was some stuff, but it wasn't really the stream, or wasn't like, it was just the stupid thing. So excited for some Doom today. Yeah, it's just more of the React phase of the stream, by the way. I'm just closing the desktop. There we go. Hopefully that all works still. We'll open up this, put on some nice chill music, and look at some stuff. Before we start, though, I have to use the washroom. Hopefully people know that we are back. I just have to use the washroom, and yes. So what should I do in the meantime? Let's just throw up some fun gameplay.
Lone Syndicate said we back.
We back. My B. Just throw that up right now. Mute and loop. All right, I'll be right back. I have to use the washroom, but then we will continue looking at memes for a couple hours, or maybe like half an hour or something like that. We shall see. But we're back. My face cam is good. I'll be back.
Catman 11,234 said GRINN piece is also at 150% speed.
McFluffikins said don't say throw up. I did enough of that for all of us yesterday. Face blue smiling.
You threw up, Fluff? Damn, are you good? What happened yesterday? Are you under the weather? You got sick? Because man, I feel like that common cold thing that went through everybody. I seen a bunch of YouTubers react to it. Same when I was sick, they were saying, people being like, I also got deathly ill. But let us jump into the react. Is it too loud? A little bit. Coming in a little hot. Let's find something a little more chill. Alrighty, back to this. Alright, our tab. Let's start at the bottom, and then we'll jump back to our thing, and then we'll work our way down, as we always like to do. Oh, my body. Also, I don't know about this pace 150 speed. Just forcing.
Said, as I explained on the other chat, my breakfast included an unfortunately spoiled
I
duck
didn't
egg,
get to catch it,
so
yeah.
I was sick for the rest of the day.
Oh, jeez. A spoiled... Yeah, man, I fucking hate eggs. Wait, a spoiled duck egg? Oh, you're eating duck eggs? That's interesting. I've never had a duck egg. I wonder if it's similar or same. Probably. Same as a normal egg. Okay, I thought something... Yeah. Now I'm on edge, because I'm like, is everything going to crash again? Oh, my knee. Alright, what is up with this? An invincible meme, maybe?
Why you gotta cover me up? I'm covering myself up, bitch. You can't tell us apart? It's fine.
That's hilarious.
I got it. Take seatbelt off. Oh, that's me. That's you.
Honestly, this is a wild parallel.
But you can't tell us apart? For years, I would have my hand
Also, this is in the era before they got wild political, and they were just. I remember I watched some of these videos where they're just beefy in the fucking in the gym, drinking protein, talking
towards
about
the
random
top of that
shit.
side. You got your hand at the bottom. Is that you or is that me?
McFlufferkin said they were a special batch of soft-boiled and salted, individually packaged, from Costco.
Oh, weird.
Only one was bad out of the dozen. They were tasty otherwise, and less sulfur like chicken eggs tend to be.
Less sulfury? Well, okay. Yeah, because I find like chicken eggs, as much as they're good for you, I find like when I make an egg on the pan, they bubble. Like I don't know how to, but the texture of it kind of gets weird to me. Like the texture of eggs At least chicken eggs. They're not bad, but it's not like there's something about it that makes me be like, ugh. I think it's like that they have little bubbles on them. Maybe that's the same across every board if you're cooking on a pan, but yeah.
That's you, right? That's me. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Wait a minute.
I feel like, wouldn't this be an easy fix if you just fucking cut your hair, like had like any distinguishing factor, like just have like a slice in the head, just in my that's this one, and not both. The fact that they're doing this to themselves, the fact that they're like, no, we will look identical, have the exact same hairstyle, the exact same clothes. What's happening? Why do they both like yellow? Like what the hell? You can solve this problem relatively easily, but anyway, what is all this? The content of this video. Oh wait, sorry, am I messing up by not reading the text, the subtext? No subtext. Gotcha, we're fine. The content of this video do not contain a CPV passenger. Okay.
Lone Syndicate said Doom was 2 strng for Grinn's PC.
Nah, it wasn't. It wasn't Doom. It was the streaming PC had a memory leak on the Elgato thing, which is weird because I've never had a crash like that where like the whole app just says nope, but a memory leak would do it. A memory leak is just like kill it, die, whatever that is. Also, brother, I don't know if if your girlfriend could pull out something that's more like, we need to turn around immediately and go home.
McFlufferkin said he's about to Azerith his medium until she's Zinthos.
Trying to act cool. Also, dude, it's crazy that for a lot of us this was our first goth, and it's wild that the bar was set at a weird alien thing also. Like a fucking telekinetic
11,234 said his shirt says, I'm very vulnerable right now if some goth girls want to take advantage of me.
Is that what it's how I didn't read it? Shit. I'm very vulnerable right now if any goth take advantage.
You good there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sure. Deep breaths. You know, breathe in, hold it.
He's also beautiful.
Let it out.
Like even before the makeup.
Good.
I don't know if I can do this. I that's real vulnerable to be in front of your partner. To like, it takes a real man to be a bitch in front of his lady. That's pretty
Lone
like
Syndicate
yeah.
said I have a funny video to send. Can I send it now?
Yeah, we're working our way down the thing. If you get in there fast before we jump up, yeah, hell yeah. Also, another extremely cool video essay that asks a question: what do you get out of playing games the way you do? 20 minutes long. Ooh, should we we may not be able to react to all of this, but we could try to nibble at a big video. Maybe we'll wait for Lone to upload his. But let's watch this as much as a little bit. I don't like always watching the whole thing always because I feel like I'm robbing the person that made it, and I would always like to say like, hey, we're about to watch this guy who already has a ton of subscribers and views on this, so it's kind of a moot point. But anyway, yeah. Let's wait for Lone to upload his. But yeah, man, I don't know. To me, the whole like, it's funny because like I always think this, but like anyone who's seen a couple like what is it called, Comic-Cons, know that like not all goth. I can't think of this character's name because I'm so bad with names. But not every character looks like this. Like, there's just some people who are, like, beautiful who are also cosplaying. Usually the ones that are, unfortunately, like, really successful. Not unfortunately, just, like, that's unfortunate. The people who are not have great bone structure or whatever. Well, you can still do it. You can still fucking get around. You know what I mean? Yeah, you could just, like, wear a dope-as helmet, and then you could still, look a little risky. But
Lone Syndicate said her name is Raven, and I
Raven,
sent
that's
two.
sorry. That's, yeah, I should have known that. I hate that I didn't know that. Is it also a long video, or is it pretty short? It's pretty short. What the F is... I don't want to say anything, but damn, man. I didn't know nostrils
Catman
could
11,234
be like
said
that.
you don't need to react to the long one. It's there for when we have a 3-hour react stream
Okay.
for long vids.
Okay.
It is a great one. Up to you.
Is it a good one? We'll see. Yeah, that's wild. Is he doing that on purpose? Like he's furling his nose? Broken smell... That's wild.
McFlufferkin said, just need Jessica Negri to cosplay anyone.
And it doesn't even need to be a conventionally attractive character for her to make it hot.
Again, there's a level of attraction which you get where, like, you could do anything and you probably do it, like, it'll look great. Like, you know what I mean? I was about to say, that was crazy. Dude, the dude's making the trees work overtime is wild. I don't think this is real. Like, it might be real, sorry. I think he's doing the thing where he's, like, furling his nose to make it even more pronounced, but woof. How is your shit not dry AF?
McFlufferkin said chat music is a trip for sure.
Chat music is a trip. Yeah, what do you call it? Yeah, the chat music is insane, always. It's not a good harmony. Like, good, like, song structure. Oh, we were running it back. He got tired of mining out comments. Like, this is enough. We'll just like a song. We'll just repeat some of the last bits. But that's crazy. I will say, I don't know if this is. I mean, maybe. Because that might just be it. But I feel like a part of me wants. I think you can't control the muscular structure in your nose and like pull yourself back. So maybe it's still a surprise, but he's going overtime. I don't know. But anyways, that is wild. That is like, as a person who also has deformed hands.
McFlufferkin said some of my favorites are the multi-part series dumpstering the Snow White movie.
The Snow White movie, yeah, I see a lot of people. What was that? I want to talk to you guys about that real quick. It was like a weird bit of like contention that happened a couple little like last week. I don't know if it was drama. I lost it. Okay, I had it and I lost it. There were like something about. Yeah, it was like a type of like. Oh, that's what it was. It was like the Destiny drama that people were talking about. Not Destiny. The Destiny creators, Bungie's. I forget what it's called. The weird extraction shooter game they're having. There was like a controversy of it. I was expecting much worse. I'm like, based on the response, basically like what the fuck up was something that was entirely, like, it wasn't something that I would be surprised. I feel like that could happen in a lot of other businesses where like you're hiring a shit ton of artists and then you're firing them, which you're a piece of shit for like, you know, doing that. But that's kind of maybe the nature of how you have to do these things. So you need a bunch of work in one block of time for artistry, and then you kind of don't need that for a long time because you're building game function. Anyways, but I thought people were like, I thought people were like jumping the gun. Like, it's like sometimes if you're just looking for shit to point out that's bad, sometimes it makes like the really grounded, stronger arguments for like why this is unacceptable or why you're not liking something. It diminishes your overall thing when like, because basically if one person who's just coming into this like me hears about how the Destiny game thing, how the art was used or something like that, if I was my first thing about hearing why this game is bad or why Bungie is a bad person, I'd be like, this is a stretch, guys. Like, they're not that bad, but that you're excluding all of the other actions that they've done with microtransactions and all these things they've done over the years. But I thought it was not that it wasn't bad. Like, you don't want to, like, the guys don't know the story. Basically, Destiny's new game, or Bungie's new game, the one that's the extraction shooter, there was an artist that had some of their assets used or their style used, but I don't know, not that it's really bad, but like the way they described how it could happen was something reasonable to me. Like, it wasn't something that like I was like, that's impossible, would never happen to me. I'm like, no, if you hired like fucking 60 people and you had to let some go or people moved on, and you were like just sifting through the folders of art and shit that you had, and then as soon as they were brought it to their attention, they immediately took it out of the game. Like, to me, that's not behavior of someone who was maliciously trying to do it. It's someone who's like, yikes, and then they fixed it, which if you look at comments, and again, I think people just want to see Marathon fail. kind of, I don't want to say rightfully so, but like kind of rightfully so, given how many people have like bled for Destiny and have supported that game and have bought fucking so much shit in that game, and to feel like you're kind of being abandoned for this other thing, or they're just not giving as much support to the thing that people love and connect with already, is a weird thing, you know? I feel like that's an angle where I understand why people are a little bit frustrated. Should we watch this now, or should we? It wouldn't be a bad thing to watch. Fuck it, let's watch it. Why not? Let's lower the background center just a little bit. All right.
What you're looking
Lone
at
Syndicate said I did send 2 videos.
Oh, you did?
The second one is Batman themed.
Oh, it's Batman themed. Oh, but it's an Instagram one. Oh, it's just the which one? You sent me the guy. The whole thing. We'll get to that at the end of the stream if you give me the actual, or did I click on like the wrong thing? Or is it all of it? Do we just pick one and say yes? Oh God, I hate that I gotta do this weird shit to do. Make an Instagram account, Grin. I don't wanna. This guy has a weird look to him. What is this? A hair?
I just get a water cup? Yeah.
Bro has. I'm sorry. I don't mean to judge people on a surface level, but that's a powerful hairstyle choice, where you have a braid going all the way down to your face.
Lone Syndicate said, yup, it's this one.
It's this one? Okay. POV, you got a water cup in Gotham. How is that not the most irritating thing?
Is that water?
I'm so distracted by the hair thing. None of this is connecting with me. Good videography. I was gonna say the hair thing threw me off so much I couldn't focus on any of the other jokes. I'm sorry, just the little hair top. Honestly, very clever strategy for him, probably because of the fact that I think everyone's gonna be commenting, bro, why? Like, is that not the most irritating thing? You have this like pendulum that is constantly whapping against your face. I might be an asshole, but that was a surprise. I'm an asshole, probably. I'm the bad guy, actually. It's just I can't help but notice it. It's almost like somebody having like a boog in their nose. I'm not the guy to be like, I just ignore it. I'm like, brother, I gotta free yourself right now. Okay, I gotta free you.
Someone is using just Tifa to beat arguably the hardest boss in Final Fantasy Rebirth. A feat I couldn't do with the full party, let alone
this is a lone situation.
Oh yeah, and it's on hard mode. This person has created a hanging device in Tears of the Kingdom that will literally slap a Lionel to death. I just beat Cyberpunk for the first time ever.
I don't know why I feel like that's a raid thing to do. Or a bolty thing to do.
What 1,000 hours
What's that, what?
of Cyberpunk looks like.
What's that?
I set Slackjaw as a beat to death. I just beat Cyberpunk for the first time ever, so naturally I'm seeing a lot of clips like this one in my feed. What 1,000 hours of Cyberpunk looks like. I set Slackjaw as this person effortlessly danced through the
I feel like this is a red thing.
Insane tricks and combat techniques.
Definitely a red thing.
That I couldn't have even imagined trying. My playthrough looks like a chimp nibbling on a wad of Play-Doh.
Lone
This was
Syndicate
like
said, why though, why do you hate yourself? That much
And we've all
soloing a
seen
boss
clips
with
like this.
Tifa is
Someone
crazy
playing
work
a game
respect
at a
though.
level worlds beyond what you could ever imagine doing yourself. Someone's like watching.
I don't know why it's quiet. Is it just me?
And we've all seen.
Just a little bit. No. That's as much we got. Wait. What the fuck? Why did it? Oh, it's because it was. I see. Maybe we just mute it. Maybe we just mute it.
Clips like this. Someone playing a game at a level worlds beyond what you could ever imagine doing yourself. And if you're like me, typically your reaction is something like, cool, it's awesome that you could do this, I had no idea. And then you lock your phone and wipe. But these clips wouldn't exist.
To be fair, a part of me does, like, it depends. Like, when I see the melee only shit, there's one channel I wish you guys would watch it, or I wish I remember off the top of my head to tell you guys about, but basically does, like, it's not like, oh, yeah, there's like a person who does Oblivion content right now. He's exploding. I'm sure you guys have seen him. He's like kind of the guy who's just like, he sounds like Russian, and he's just like running through like how to pull off certain builds, and he just like 0 to 100 meets you like just starting out to like being a great. Those videos to me are like make me actually want to play, because it shows you how fast you can like get a turnaround to actually have fun playing through the game in this unique way. Whereas people who just like torture porn themselves and like just die like 1,000 times to a boss, that's less provocative to me. But like the idea of someone be like in like in like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm going to take you from doing nothing to being able to play this game in melee and just coasting. That's to me fire. And then telling them what to do after.
Out there who do much, much, much more than just roll credits, which makes me wonder, what possesses a person to want to go to this length in a game, to spend so many hours relentlessly experimenting, maximizing, learning, and showing off? A reason beyond just liking the game that much, or achievement hunting, because the cop-out answer is, of course, they just like it that much.
No, but I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think that. I think
Lone Syndicate said, speaking of Oblivion, Grin, did you ever solve the poison issue?
The issue is just to load back to save and kill the people in the guild and then be done. But yeah, I haven't actually. I forgot to do that night. Now that you say that, actually. But I was gonna say, I don't think the reason is like they like to do. I think it's a crazy statement. I think it's I feel like a part of it has to be like, it sounds weird, but like fulfillment. Like one of the things that it's kind of like a hard pill to swallow a little bit. But the reason why we love games sometimes is because same reason why I love I got really into exercise is because sometimes you have nothing, you haven't gotten a win in life. Really, like it's the same shit. Sometimes it's a shit sandwich, but you just haven't gotten a win. And video games and exercise can give you that feeling of like at least I've succeeded in something, which is great because it gives you the ability to feel like I'm still in this fight. I'm getting my dopamine still. I'm still doing something, which is good. It can also be an escape that where like you don't address things in your life, which is true too. Same thing for exercise. But yeah, I think that's like there's an element of why people do this is for like the glory of doing it because it makes you feel like you've done something difficult. It's funny because if you take people who like even speedrun, who's just like grind and grind and grind the same level to where they hate the game at the end of it. If they were to take that same level, like 3 months of like wild obsession.
Catman 11,234 said the thoughts you're giving right now are why I like reacting to longer vids. It gives good discussion.
Yeah, I think it's a great time. But I was gonna say, if they took that same like 3 months of just a wild obsession and they devoted it to like entrepreneurship or anything else, and I know it's like I don't mean to be like the dad in the room being like, but I'm just saying it's games can be a great place for you to feel fulfillment. But in some ways, it can also be a way to rob you of fulfillment. Now, not everyone is like this. I'm sure people who are like, well, wait. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably not you. But I do think there is a version of a person who like plays WoW all day and just gets like his serotonin and dopamine from that. You know what I mean?
That's too simple. I loved Rebirth. I loved Cyberpunk. I loved Tears of the Kingdom. But I didn't express that love through playing them for copious amounts of hours and multiple playthroughs. And according to this poll I made, neither did a great many of you.
The only parallel that I can have that I think may be the point of the video is I've played like a game that didn't provide more gameplay an ungodly amount of time for a linear thing, which for me it's builds. Like I played Borderlands to death, beat all the side quests, and I still played it for like 2 years, like nonstop, making builds and like trying to get weapons and shit like that. So I don't know what compels me to do that. Maybe a feeling of like completion, satisfaction, maybe the same thing we're talking about like reward mechanisms in your brain and like dopamine and stuff like that.
Love for a game can be expressed in many different ways. So what makes a person spend hundreds, sometimes thousands of hours on something that they may not even like that much? Is there a psychological predisposition to playing a game?
This to me is awesome. This is the question that I've wondered for myself for years, which is like, I wish Red was here because no, it's not Red. Sorry, it's not Red. It's Nub. Nub was like this. Nub was a person who would like play 100 to 200 hours of a game to like 300 hours, and then say it's the worst game he's ever played in his life. And then I'm like, but you played so long. He's like, yeah, it's be shit. I'm like, do you play it to the point in which you hate it? And he's like, no, I knew it like the first two times. I say that as a person who like my version of that is watching like somewhat mid anime before like the big amazing people think they're the best anime ever. I watch the mid ones because like I said, I like to save the best for last. So maybe I'm just intrinsically broken like these people. I don't know.
May not even like that.
But I'm curious what his answer
is. Is there a psychological predisposition to playing a game like this? Spoilers, the answer is yes, and involves something that psychologists call goal orientation.
McFlufferkin said it depends on the game, but I feel like the second choice could have been split up to being different choices altogether. I rarely replay a game unless it's something Bethesda adjacent.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, okay.
Lone Syndicate said what I call the Tsuneres of gaming.
The Tsuneres of gaming.
To playing a game like
yeah,
this. Spoilers, the answer is yes, and involves something that psychologists call goal orientation.
Okay.
And through a pile of psych research, some insights on how different games might affect your playstyle preference and how your parents might have affected this.
Ooh.
Hopefully this will give you some clarity on why you are the way that you are.
I'm curious.
In a nutshell, I want to help you answer if you are a master or a performer, and help you understand what that means.
I already know. I ain't a master, okay? At least that's what I assume a master is someone who like tries to perfect a boss battle 1,000 times. It ain't me. It ain't me.
You liked these videos,
well,
you're gonna like this one.
I guess in some cases.
If you already think you're probably a master because you love to tinker in an effort to master a skill, you're really gonna like today's sponsor, Boot.dev. Video games are, for many of us, a chance to you choose .dev. So thanks again for the sponsor.
Cool.
Now back
cool
to
background.
the show. Cast your mind back to when you were in the 5th grade. What school was like, what games you enjoyed, what friends you had. And once you situate yourself in that memory, I want you to imagine that one day in class, the teacher pulls you aside and gives you a few small puzzles. They aren't super hard, you are pleasantly surprised at how well you've done, and the teacher then says to you, "Great job, you must be really smart."
Reinforcement learning type things. Where, like, again, one of the best things you do for a child is be like, yeah, you're like, okay, they talk about this within psychology, which maybe is what he's going to get into, but the idea, and that's really cool if you have a child to like emulate this to some extent, or a niece or a nephew. But the idea is
Lone Syndicate said, I feel like I could be either or, but I also find myself not trying to either, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
sometimes
no,
I just lock in.
I had moments where I'm like, yeah, like there's times where I'll reset like a stealth encounter in Assassin's Creed like 10 times just because I want to get it right. But then I don't do that with bosses. I just try to get the kill. I guess that's not true. Sometimes with bosses, I feel like I fucked up so badly that I want to get it right. But then other times, not so much. But anyways, there's a thing within children specifically where they did this test where if you everyone is associated in a household often as like there's the smart kid, there's the sportsy kid, there's the quiet kid, and they kind of like just reinforce that by you saying that basically has a thing where mentally you basically try to sit whatever is comfortable. It's like this weird psychological principle where it's kind of like the weird like woo woo of like whatever you think you are, you become. Which is, it's like there's a thing when I forget what it's called specifically in psychology, but there's like a thing where basically you will always try to balance yourself into whatever you perceive you are. So like if you're falling behind in school, you will subconsciously learn.
I do, however, like to put as many hours as I can with a game that I enjoy. So I'll get as much value out of it if possible. I like to complete a game when it's feasible to do so.
Yeah, I don't know if that's me either. Like to me, even if I love a game, I don't know. Like some people like go and like do all the collectibles just because they like it, and unless the gameplay is good enough to keep me hooked, eventually I'll just be like, why am I doing this? Like I'm tired of the gameplay. I like the game a lot, but like yeah, you know what I mean. Where some people have like the almost like because I love this game so much, I will honor it by checking everything off the list and getting a perfect like bow on it, which is true, or which is cool. But yeah, I think it's something also interesting to think about yourself, where if you perceive that you're stupid, or it's not even about that. It's about like the environment around you signaling that you're starting to fall backwards or forwards, and your brain has established that you are here. Now, here could be really intelligent, like a top performer in your household, which will subconsciously make your body take more notes and like try to learn better or spend more time, studying and stuff like that. And then until you get up to the point in which your brain says that's your normal, and then it'll stop telling you signals to like do more. But it's really interesting regardless. I'm not sure if he goes in that, but that's something I thought was fun to talk about.
How does it make you feel to hear that? Maybe back in school, you were actually told something exactly like this. Perhaps you were placed in the smart kid classes and labeled gifted and talented. Maybe you really liked that praise. Hell, maybe you heard it all the way through college. But let me revise our story ever so slightly.
Let's sorry to pause you. I was just going to say, did you guys ever get one of those when you were a kid? What was the version of that for you? I'm really curious. Because for me, I look back on that and I think I was like... constantly I was in like learning disability classes my entire life. Like I for a reason, maybe it's dyslexia, they didn't diagnose properly, maybe it's also just that I do learn in a different way, so to speak. I think I have like an abnormal amount of like I could pick things up really fast, but my brain just dumps information like abnormally high if I'm not using it. And I'm talking like in 2 weeks it will just like eviscerate anything just to make way for whatever. I don't know what that mechanism is in my head, but But yes, Kat says for me, it was I read far above my grade level, but he goes further into the video as to what it can do to you, and the outcome will be similar for me. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so yeah, for me, I'm going to talk to people who have dyslexia of any kind like this, but it's a very similar thing, which is if you've had learning disability problems, like you basically just were like really shitty at school for whatever reason, maybe it's because they weren't teaching you really well, or maybe it's because you just weren't trying or whatever it is. In my case, it was that I was trying my ass off and just couldn't like learn at the same speed as other people, and also they weren't doing a really good job at teaching me. I learned about that later in life. But for me, the one thing I was always told, and I always had so much reinforcement for, was, and it sounds weird, but like it's understanding people. So like, dude, if I'm honest and it's bad, 90% of the reason why I was able to get through school and like all that stuff was because I knew how to communicate with people. And not just communicate people, like I'm not talking about being charming. I'm talking about paying attention to like when all the kids in the class are being needlessly rude to the teacher. After the class is done, coming up to the teacher, being the last one to leave and say, hey, by the way, I think you did a good job. And not doing that because I'm trying to get ahead, but just doing that because I think this teacher is a good person. And I actually genuinely think that it's not fair that she has to go through this. And then genuinely like smiling at people and like laughing at their jokes and things like that. Like these are all things that like you have to sincerely do or else people can pick up on your bullshit. But these are all things that like as a kid, you can pick up on and understand like that's a massive factor. And for sure, that was a thing that I was told a lot. And I honestly was like reinforced constantly, which I don't know if is, I don't like, cause I wasn't able to like learn in the same way. Now that I'm an adult, I know I have the capacity to learn. So maybe that's a better way of putting it. I didn't know yet that I could learn like normal people. I just have to be taught in a very particular way that I found it later in life. But yeah. Also, Fluff says, I need a less advanced math class, but that was the only subject I seemed to struggle in. Benefit was I encouraged using a calculator, which it was far better to utilize such a tool. Such was the reflected when I eventually did my GED. Math was the subject I scored the worst in. Still passed on the first try. Thank goodness. Ooh, okay. Yes, okay, that makes sense. So that was the only thing that like made you...
Catman 11234 said the same thing happens in abusive households. Kids learn how to be not a nuisance, and then they sometimes become people pleasers since they grew up paying attention to what others need.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. But in the same sense, I also think that I don't know, because I think there's a part of it becomes about fear, and I think I have had people in my like circle that I've seen that where like they have a fear response, and that's why they look at that. I have the opposite. I feel like I have like and it's it's funny because I can like remember vividly, like I know exactly when it happened, where there was like it was me and the student teacher. She was beautiful, just beautiful woman. And she was young and she was teaching me. And I got so like every time I made her, like, I think that was it. It was like, dude, we're dissecting my mental state right now, but like my childhood, but this is weird. But like, I always struggle, to like, I'd fail trying to read. I'd fail again trying to read because I just couldn't see the words really well. I tried to do the math. I wouldn't know the score. So I just try, and I didn't want to disappoint people. So then I keep trying, but then I was able to make the person laugh. Or smile, or feel like appreciated, or something like that, and that was not losing. You know what I mean? Like I every time I tried, I'd fail, and then finally there was this thing that like, oh, I could do that. I could make you keep laughing. I could make you keep smiling. I could make you feel important. I could make you do these things, and it was the only thing that like I couldn't get the answers right, but I could do that, and I could get good at that, and it shaped my my whole thing of like, I don't know if it's that I want to please people. It's that there's something about that's like a dopamine release essentially. And it's funny because like later in life I got really away from that, which I think was healthy because I think like Kat's talking about, like you can get kind of be conditioned in that way to be that. The other three subject tests were mostly reading comprehension, so I scored quite high, college ready, or a 1 or 2 grade. Oh, nice. Yeah. So maybe it was just the I do, however, put a lot of hours into things. Yeah, I'm curious. Is that referring to like the basically you had a strong signal that everything else was like you're pretty exceptional at, but then the reading or the math was the thing that maybe wasn't so good. So that was maybe something that was conditioned eventually, where you just kind of expect yourself to be bad at math, or do you think people are just innately like, yeah, you're better at some things and worse than others? I learned by doing, while listening, reading, taking notes, were harder for me to fully comprehend. Didn't help that we were transitioning out of handwriting and typing, so I'm printing as I think everyone's fucking handwriting has gone to shit. I haven't written in so long.
You do the puzzle, you succeed, you feel good, and then the teacher says to you, "Great job, you must have worked really hard." How does this one make you feel?
One sec. Okay, well, let's go back. We took too much time to ramble.
School, you were actually told something exactly like this.
Perhaps let's go back. I babbled too much.
How well you've done, and the teacher then says to you, "Great job, you must be really smart." How does it make you feel to hear that? Maybe back in school, you were actually told something exactly like this. Perhaps you were placed in the smart kid classes and labeled gifted and talented.
Nope.
Maybe you really liked that praise. Hell, maybe you heard it all the way through college, but let me revise.
You know what's fucked up? Hearing it sounded like honey. Sounded like warmth. I've never heard it before. I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to be depressing. I think it's just funny that, like, I wonder if he's gonna talk about that. Like, the thing that whatever one sounds more warm to you maybe is the one that, like, you maybe wished you heard but never did.
Let's rewind. You do the puzzle, you succeed, you feel good, and then the teacher says to you, "Great job, you must have worked really hard."
Heard that all the time.
How does this one make you feel?
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that they sound the same.
No, they don't.
You kicked ass in the discussion.
That one I hate.
But it's
It
shocking
makes me
just
mad.
how staggering of a difference these two forms of praise actually make. This is Dr. Carol Dweck, and over the course of her career, she has done a ton of research on people's personal beliefs about their own intelligence and abilities. And our little thought experiment is a study that she ran in several different forms over the years.
Interesting.
In essence, elementary schoolers will be split into groups and do a series of easy, nonverbal puzzles. One group was praised for their intelligence.
Wow, you did really well. You must be really smart at this.
Another was praised for their effort.
Wow, you did really well. You must have tried really hard at this.
And of course, the control group wasn't praised at all. Sorry, Timmy. In her original study, only one sentence of feedback was uttered because, as Dr. Dweck explains, we had a hunch that one line might be enough to see an effect, which is an absolute mic drop because that's exactly what happened. When the students were then offered either a harder puzzle or another puzzle of a similar difficulty, the majority of the students praised for effort took the harder puzzle. Those praised for their smarts actually took the easier. The smart kids did not want the business, but the ones told that they worked hard were very Goku-ishly ready to be pummeled for the love of the game. They invited the challenge with open arms. So
that's funny because that's not what I would have imagined. Like, I thought, yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, why, but, like, to me, if you were, like, it's surprising. Like, usually if somebody's told, like, you're really smart, means, like, you basically
Catman 11,234 said I was the smart kid, and so I never did honors classes, so I could keep being smart.
Oh, weird. So you subconsciously pick a low bar so that you can or, like, possibly, I don't mean to be, I'm not sure, even if you're not that person, a person subconsciously picks the lower bar so that they can remain like that, whereas the person who picks effort, yeah, I don't know. I always, maybe that's because I have, like, a weird like abrasiveness with effort, where I think it's like it's the only thing you have, but it doesn't necessarily mean things are going to work out. And I always hate the idea that people sometimes portray, which is like effort is the thing that matters the most, and it's like, no, effort's the only thing you have, but don't misunderstand that, like, just because you bled for things, etc., that you are automatically entitled to them, etc.
What exactly is happening here?
Yeah, I'm curious.
These forms of feedback to our young, malleable minds immediately begin to mold our self-belief and subsequently our motive to try. By telling students, "Hey, good job, you must be smart," it immediately places
McFluffican said being told you're smart doesn't leave you feeling like you need to challenge yourself, so you maintain that, so you're always top of the pile.
Yeah, it's tough because, like, to me, that's not what I have seen in my lived experience in a weird way. The people who told that they were smart, to me, I always felt like were people who were, like, honor students and people who were, like, constantly tried to maintain this level of understanding within their brain of, like, if I'm the smart one, then I like, if I was taking classes that were beneath me, then I would no longer be the smart one. Does that make sense? So, like, again, like I talked about, there's like a mental principle within psychology where like whatever you perceive or the people around you perceive you to be, whether you're the smart kid, the fact that you're not in like, if the other kid in your household started to like do a lot of better at school and was like in honor classes, you would cease to be the smart kid. And a lot of times in psychology, it shows that your brain will subconsciously try to keep you in that category that you determine yourself to be in. So like if you're the athletic kid, it's just surprising to me that like, in my experience, when I've seen people who were like considered the smart people, they were always the people who had the confidence because they were always told that like, you're a winner, you're going to win, you've won. Why would you not try again? Because you win. Whereas a person who's like, hey, your effort mattered, you're like, you'll try, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll try to win. You'll just try to try. So that's why I'm having a hard time feeling this out, is because in my lived experience, like people who believe they can win, people who were told that like, you're smart, you did right, you won, were people who have always the people who are like the first to hold up their hand and be like, I want to play, I want to run, I want to do the thing. And then people who were told like, you tried your hardest, were people who were like felt discouraged because they didn't actually succeed. They weren't actually told like, you are the person that won, which to me, telling a kid like, you're smart, you're really smart, to me, and then saying someone like, you're really like your effort is meaningful, your effort matters. Maybe that, I just don't know who ever really says that a lot. You know, it's usually like the sentence he said, which is like, you did really good, something effort. Yeah. For me, I wound up being top of that last advanced math class. Didn't mean I wouldn't stand a chance with the next level of math. I was happy with that. Yeah. Just trying to. Yeah, you had
about them that they have our motive to try. By telling students, hey, good job, you must be smart, it immediately places the reason for their success on something about them that they have no control over. It'd be like telling your niece that she bowled a strike because she has a lot of aura. What the hell does she do with that? On the other hand, by telling students that their hard work was what paid off, that gives them something actionable to use moving forward, and it makes difficult tasks less of a threat to their identity and more of a chance to grow.
I'm so sorry I keep pausing with us. We're never going to finish this goddamn video. It's funny because I don't like. This is the thing that's so interesting about the field of psychology, is that there's just things that give you different signals, and maybe they're all like passively related. Which if you're
McFlufferkin said it's like the difference between someone being talented and someone being skilled.
Yeah. So this is what I was gonna say.
Lone Syndicate said, as someone who was a smart kid, I challenged myself, got into one of top high school in my city, at least so they say, and got humbled real quick, but I need that taught some good life lessons.
Yeah. But so it's funny because like this is the thing that like if you try to understand people, which I love and I try to do as often, I watch podcasts about it and watch videos about it, you'll find out that like everyone wants to create like a baseline of like, bang, this is the like singular thing. And a lot of times like it's fluid, where like it's not that it's wrong, it's just that it's not. It's wrong in this particular environment with these variables that will change the rules of the game, which makes it like extremely complex, but also like a really fun game to understand, to like the beautiful and crazy mind and the variables that play within the surroundings that take a toll on your mind. Anyways, what I was going to say is he just said something that was basically this last bit.
Paid off. That gives them something actionable to use moving forward.
So he's saying that there's a logical thing that now if you reinforce within these kids that functions in that way. A lot of the psychology that I've been aware of is beautifully pointing out that like it's not, at least my thing that I've seen, you'd be surprised at how much of that stuff doesn't actually work that way. Like, so like one of the books I would highly advise, is one of my favorite books that I've read, is called With Winning in Mind. And it's basically a person who didn't train kids, but trained Olympic winners who win at the highest possible level of the world continually. So Olympic winners who have won consistently time and time again. And the thing that he found the most is this thing that just didn't make any sense, which is like this completely heinous unyielding belief that you can do it. So it's not about effort even. It's about like the just belief that you can win, that you have determined some way deep in your core that you are a winner and that you will win. And how that, like, it doesn't make sense. It's not that they necessarily believe that their effort is valuable. Maybe you could argue that like because they believe that they're a winner and their win, that they'll like train harder and whatnot. But that was the one thing he kind of took across the board, amongst other things. But like one of them was just the mental capacity to believe that you are the best here above everybody else, and it's not even close. That's such a mental thing. And but when I listen to that, I think if you reinforce effort mattering the most, then you'll get a kid who pushes himself and tries to find the resistance in which effort can be the thing that overcomes that. But I also think that there's so many things within psychology that just don't work that way. Like the idea of a thought can be just as powerful as like a reinforcement of effort. And in my experience, man, people who have like blind confidence are people who, I don't know if it comes from like being told that you had you tried hard. I think it came from like your mom telling you that you were the shit, and like you having a few moments in your childhood where you were the shit. Maybe you were the guy who shot a basketball, and you believe so deeply within your brain.
GTID said, "What are thoughts?" ?
You're weird. You're a weirdo, GT.
And it makes difficult tasks less of a threat to their identity and more of a chance to grow. Like Dr. Dweck says, when we praise children for their intelligence, we tell them that this is the name of the game. Look smart, don't risk making mistakes.
Yeah, see, this is something that maybe this is a thing, because I resonate with that a lot. Where like I just said, I have a weird thing where I could try anything. I don't because I already associate that I'm going to be terrible at it. So, but I know that with like enough effort, or enough learning, I can get to know more about it, I guess.
In the long term, what this simple distinction in verbiage manifests as is two distinct, very well researched and defined motivations. A mastery motivation, the desire to do well at something for the sake of learning it and finding competence in it, and a performance motivation, the desire
Catman
to excel.
11,234 said this is one of the style of YouTube vids I watch at 1.25 or 1.5 speed. Dude talks slowly, a bit for dramatic effect, but it's slow lol.
Yeah, it's a bit slow. It's also on me for stopping it so often and have so many weird thoughts.
Mastery, two distinct, very well researched and defined motivations. A mastery motivation, the desire to do well at something for the sake of learning it and finding competence in it, and a performance motivation, the desire to excel because from a social standpoint, it makes one appear competent. And at face value, you can probably...
No, I don't really care about that aspect. Where's me, where I'm like, I feel like I'm shit at it. By default, I feel like I'm going to be bad at it. But that means I just want to try it quietly by myself until I get competent, and then I'll do that. But like and even then, I don't know if I even want to I would associate mastery with like someone who's driven to reach the height of skill of a certain thing, and I have none of that. I just want to get like competent in the middle, maybe.
Probably already start to imagine which one you tend to have based on your upbringing and perhaps how it affects your playstyle when you game. If you relate to the players from the start of the video that experiment and intimately learn the mechanics of the game, you might enjoy doing things that way because, like the effort kids, the ever-growing challenge and the allure of mastery is most satisfying to you. On the other hand, if you're like me and were placed in the gifted and talented classes growing up, you may not really play games specifically for the difficulty. I'm here to enjoy the story. I'm here for the vibes, the atmosphere, the music, the chance to do something funny or laugh with a friend, or cry until I'm numb. You enjoyed the cabaret side quest in Yakuza 0 because it required a deeper understanding of what your girls are good at and what your guests want to see. I don't
mean to be... I'm kind of thinking... I don't agree with the therapist and also this, just to be clear.
Because the makeover menu music sent my soul into orbit.
I think his assumption is incorrect.
We are not the same. I'm much more of a performer. I want something to take me for a ride, not something to study and find expertise in. So if you happened to participate in that poll, more than likely your goal orientation played a part in your answer. If you tend to deep dive into games and play them for every penny they're worth and then some, I'd be willing to bet you play with a mastery motivation in mind. If you're like me and typically just run the base game and move on, you are likely playing with more of a performance motivation in mind. And before we go too much further, I want to make it as clear as I possibly can that despite how Dr. Dweck's research frames it, in the long term, neither motivation is inherently better than the other. It does seem that mastery is a healthier perspective for deeply learning something, and in many cases it is. But that ability to truly lock in and learn about something at an incredibly high level often comes at a cost. Have you ever met someone who kind of...
Kat says, I'm a mastery person for sure, especially martial games, For Honor, Ghost of Tsushima, and Doom. Yeah. I'm having a struggle with, like, I don't agree with the therapist's assumption, and I don't agree with his connection of it. So I understand that what the therapist is saying, and I can understand how that could be true, but I don't know if I entirely agree with the connection of, like, it's a real big stretch to me of, like, this thing that you're told when you're a kid based on effort and smarts is determinative whether you whether you like try to play a game to the extent in which you master it in that way, or whether you casually play games for the fun of it all. To me,
Lone Syndicate said, I still feel like I can be either.
Yeah, which is why to me I think it's a stretch. Like, not even like that. It's not that by the way, I love the video, Cat. It's not like a thing I like. This is a really cool thought experiment, but I don't like. There's so much therapist stuff or psychology stuff. Sorry, that goes on with stuff. I feel like this is a weird, like, thing that to me isn't resonating in that way.
Only plays FromSoft titles, or only plays games on their hardest difficulty. They probably justify this with phrases like playing something.
I also think that, like, let me phrase it like this. I also feel like you could take people who were told that this is why I don't agree with the assumption of the psychology, basically. I think you could have those same kids who were, like, told constantly that, like, effort is the best thing, effort is the thing. I think they would grow up and they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't play every game on hard mode. No, I don't play games, like, to just know life these. Like, I don't think that's the correlative element of that makes them have this proclivity. At least to me. Like, I think if I were a betting man, like, gun to head, do you think that on average, let's just say 60% of people who are told that effort matters have a chance of, like, playing every game on hard mode, or, like, playing a game to, like, utter mastery? Do I think 60% of those people have that convergence? Maybe like 30%. I'd still be like, nah, I think it's other variables. But this is an interesting thought anyway.
It doesn't do it for me anymore, or I don't know, I just can't enjoy this unless I hate myself along the way. These folks are probably mastery-oriented. They get the most thrill out of a genuine challenge. But it might cost them a ton of games that they'd never consider playing. Believe it or not, this happens in school too, which is where most of this research was done. This 2019 paper found that mastery-oriented university students perform well on exams only when the subject matter was interesting to them. They excelled when it was something they gave a damn about, and performed poorly on...
Yeah, based on this guy's logic, if we're going to take it like 100% he's God, we're going to realize I'm a mutant, and I'm sure most of you are mutants, because, like, to me this is we're not allowed to say the word anymore, but it's a retarded idea. Yeah, like this is true for everybody. Like, there's something where, like, when you really like what you like, you learn it faster. This is a fucking wild assumption. Anyways, but, like, I'm sure this is true for everyone. Where, like, if you find you like something, you learn it more. I don't think you need to be told, like, that you're an effort kid or maybe I'm an asshole. But I feel like this is something that is, maybe I should listen more. Maybe I'm not listening to the whole...
perform well on exams only when the subject matter was interesting to them. They excelled when it was something they gave a damn about, and performed poorly on other topics. Performance-oriented students, with their anxiety and pressure to be the good students they think they are, did very well across all topics as long as the class demands were clear. And it's fascinating to see this leak into the comments from that poll. Some people who do put in the gargantuan sum of hours tend to either do exactly that, or just bounce off of a game entirely with no in-between. Some have to 100% a game before they can move on. Others stopped gaming like this because they don't have...
I feel like that's also 0.1% of people. Like, I don't think the differentiating factor was because you were told that effort mattered more to you when you were a kid. Like, I think I feel like there's a special kind of thing that you need to do in your life where you have a mental block in your head that says, like, I need to be the best. I need to complete something to the 100% degree. I think that doesn't come from, like, the example that it gave, which is, like, just commending effort. I think it has to do with, like, something that happened in your life where you've decided, like, same thing as OCD. Like, I think OCD is a complex thing that comes from very specific things that happen when you're a kid that reinforce something in your brain of, like, this need for something.
Time to do so anymore. Masters are actively looking for something to get hopelessly swept up in for a long time, even if it means they miss a ton of other stuff. But if you fall in that slight majority with me, oh man, you may not be pulling off stunts like this or putting in hours like this, but you're likely trying way more games and rolling credits on way more games, of varying genres.
No.
If the game isn't that hard, that's okay. For performers, it's more of a social experience anyways. We aren't playing Monster Hunter Wiki because we're in love with the mechanics. We're playing because it's fun to swing a hammer, and we just want to be part of the session. And because we want that play. We don't achievement hunt because it gives us a chance to experience the game's strategies and interactions at their fullest. We look up a guide for that. We just want the platinum so that we can flex it.
I'm starting to realize I am a non-gamer. None of these resonate at all. And none of these resonate on the Masters at all either. Both motherfuckers are crazy. Maybe it's just extremes. I don't know. But damn.
Playing that fighting game because we like the nitty-gritty details of the meta. We're playing it because it feels good to socially compare when we win. Performers, because they are so socially driven instead of process driven, tend not to need an overwhelming inherent interest in a topic to excel in it like masters do. If everyone is playing a particular game, if all of their friends are playing it, fear of missing out will set in stronger for the performer and drive interest through that avenue.
I don't want to keep pausing it, but there's so many things that I want to pause and just like...
McFlufferkin said master and performer is a weird way to categorize all gamers.
Yeah.
There's at least 4 more suitable types,
for sure.
if not more.
I feel like that's fair, because there's things he's saying where part of me I'm like, Like, what was he saying? Like, he's saying stuff like this. Which,
performers, because they are so social.
Yeah, and like, this is what's killing me. Like, I know, this has been my obsession for like my whole life about talking about like the mind and people and how you interact with people. So hearing him like dissolve this, it's pretty tight to where like, if you are a performer, you're congealing that into what essentially is like people who have like maybe not a defense mechanism, but a proclivity towards communication and connection with others, with
driven instead of process driven when we win. Performers, because they are so socially driven instead of process driven, tend not to need an overwhelming inherent interest in a topic to excel in it.
Which is insane. Like that, yeah. Like what is the connecting thread of like social drive versus a different thing entirely, which is like your capacity to like complete or jump around to different things, like.
Tend not to need an overwhelming inherent interest in a topic to excel in it like masters do.
Which to me, if that's anything, it's opposite, because you have like, I don't know why being a social person would mean that you're basically like the jack of all trades. You kind of like everything. It doesn't make sense to me. If anything, if you're like locked into a person, like I think it's maybe this is where I'm getting like messed up on is like I think social is like
Catman 11,234 said I'm happy
I love
this in because you're so out of both categories. It's fun to hear your perspective.
Well, especially considering like to me when he like I think people are using the idea of like social stuff where like the idea of like you're a social butterfly, and I think it means that like you hop around to a bunch of places. And to me, that's not what social is. I mean, maybe it means like maybe I associate something different. Maybe that is social, but I associate like social as being communicative, like being able to communicate with someone and understand them and try to like get to layers and layers deep beyond what they're actually feeling and why they're feeling. And to me, that's if anything, that's a very like individually driven thing. Whereas like this idea of like you're just kind of spread out is a weird.
Everyone is playing a particular game if all of their friends are playing it. Fear of missing out will set in stronger for the performer.
No, because I like what I like.
Interest through that avenue, especially if it is a particular type of performer. Some psychologists make the distinction that there are 2 types of performance motivation. Appearance-based
McFlufferkin said my issue with this is that he's treating this as a black or white form of categorization.
A little bit, yeah.
There's explorers, achievers, socializers, builders, and more.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a good thing. Maybe there's another kind of video concept that breaks down this too.
A particular type of performer. Some psychologists make the distinction that there are 2 types of performance motivation: appearance-based and competitive-based. Appearance-based goals tend to lead to a host of maladaptive outcomes, such as self-handicapping and help avoidance.
Brother, I feel like I've never felt like I'm more not this at all. Like, to me, there's a version of, like, basically people are like, you're either, this is a really corrosive way to put it, but you're either a self-aggrandizing bitch who wants the validation of others, or you are a person who is like an introverted soul who's like a hobbit living in a house learning how to make shoes, but like you're getting really into making shoes. You're gonna be the best at making fucking shoes. And I'm like, what if I don't give a shit? A single fuck who watches or like likes what I like or is into what I'm into. Like RPG people don't give. I just want to experience the world by myself. It's not why I like the game to like a social element. But also, I would be cool to reach competency essentially. To like, I don't want to do things because of any sort of external or whatever validation or people. But at the same time, I also would not like to be like progress. Like I want to feel like I am improving at something as well. I don't need to be the best, but I certainly want to like get what I want out of it. Whatever that is how I'm feeling. You know what I mean?
This is what Dr. Dweck typically observed in students who were told they were smart. This suddenly gave them a fragile self-image that they sought to protect instead of being engaged with the material itself.
I also am so curious because I like this. Also, something I fundamentally disagree with. I tried to be nice in the very beginning of this stream. I fundamentally disagree with this. I do not think this has not been my experience in my life. Where like kids who were told that they were smart, I feel like we're always strived to be like honor students, people who are on top of their class, etc. I think people who were told that like you're good at this, like again, let's take away smarts. Just let's say like, hey, you're really good at this. Hey, you're really good at basketball. And it's a psychological principle that like if I tell you that you're good at something, you have more of a chance to shoot at it because you believe that you have a capacity. If I say you're talented, if you tell a kid who's not talented at hockey at all, and you tell him for like his adolescent years, you're so talented at this, you're the best in this thing. The minute that he stops becoming the best, or the minute that he stops like succeeding, he knows in his deep brain that he is what is it called? That he is talented at this. So your brain will automatically adjust and force you to go back into what is the safe space, or else you'll experience like a great deal of discomfort or pain, or you'll have to change and be like determine yourself to not be good at this anymore, which it's hard, and most people don't enjoy the feeling of having to change anyway, especially not change for the worst.
Later
That's
in
why
that
like
original
depression
study,
and sadness happen.
They had both groups do an extremely difficult puzzle, where the mastery kids typically didn't mind failing and had fun with it. The performance kids broke down, assuming that their failure was evidence that they weren't really smart at all.
You seem to have more trouble with this one, and I want to know why you think that was.
Probably because I'm not good at these problems.
Appearance-based performers tend to go that route. Competitive-based performers, however, generally tend to achieve more and have much more adaptive outcomes, such as self-efficacy and self...
Sorry, it's funny that like they start this it's funny. Fuck. Assholes. Sorry. I'm thinking about the person who ran the study. She said at the beginning of the thing that we kept our study really lean because we were so confident about like the factors that we believe in, that we told them this one sentence, and this one sentence was going to be the thing that determines this whole thing. And I'm like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think that's a really bad, like that just means you have like less variables to contend, or not even variables, but like I think that's
McFluffican said I also went through phases of finishing a game and moving on to the next, replaying a demo over and over, or replaying a short enough game that has early choices that affect the rest of the run.
Yeah, that's all very good variables for sure that play a part.
Self-regulation. What this means is that even if you run completely on ego, that ego is one hell of a motivator. Every Goku needs a Vegeta, and this is exactly what you get if you're a performer who loves competition. You may not be in love with the mechanics or the strategy of Marvel Rivals, but if you care about winning enough, you will make room for them. You may not be drawn to FromSoft games or brutal platformers, but if your buddy beat one and won't stop talking about it, you might suddenly have something to prove.
No, I don't care.
Meanwhile, your buddy couldn't care less what people think because he's mastery motivated. He plays Rivals because the strategy and technique tickles his brain.
Austin, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy that. Like, again, people don't operate like fucking robots who are like, my friend, I just play what I like, and no external feeling in my head tells me what. It is just the feeling of success and effort and improving at something that drives me, and not any other variable, like you're fucking watching a YouTube short, you see a cool thing it does, or like you see your buddy fucking do something cool. It's insane to me. I'm sorry, I know it's a great video, but a part of me is just like losing my brain, because my brain is trained to like try to see something from like 7 different perspectives, because it helps you understand the duality of the entire thing, and the fact that it's just distilled into a thread makes me just try to cut the fucking thread so much.
Plays because the depth of Elden Ring's build combinations are like brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts to his prefrontal cortex. He might enjoy fighting games because the frame data... Actually, I'm not convinced anyone likes fighting games, but you've seen my point.
Amen.
All right.
Fluff and everybody else. Fluff, Cat,
I know almost all of you right now are watching this and have already decided that you are most certainly either a master or a professional.
I decided nothing.
You've related to something I said about your upbringing, or how you play, or how you pick games. I hope that has provided some clarity about yourself, but before you go too far with that, it is critical that I speak to a mysterious third party that is watching. the people who were screaming, I think I'm both, man. What the fuck is going on? Am I gonna die?
I don't think I'm both. I think I'm neither. It's what I feel like.
A 2015 study on 278 athletes found that when in a competition, athletes do their best work if they have both a high level of task goal orientation and ego goal orientation. To translate that, task is mastery, ego is performance. Basically, as long as they are not low in both forms, they are experiencing a positive mental state when they play. I bring this study up simply to say you can have both, and in fact you probably do.
McFlufferkin said, I like fighting games because it's fun to see cool characters do cool stuff. I don't play them on a competitive level, almost never play them online.
Yeah, just to have fun, yeah.
Themselves to their past selves, and performers compare themselves to
What's
others.
that?
You can have both, and in fact you probably do. If masters compare themselves to their past selves and performers compare themselves to others, it stands to reason that you can do both of these things simultaneously, and according to this study, many athletes do.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you do, you're more likely to experience that flow state that people talk about so much, where you're super engaged with a ever-growing challenge, which is exactly what makes video games such a magical.
I'm getting frustrated because again, it's like he takes. I'm sorry, this guy's great. I like it's cool that he's sparking this in my head. I love it. But he's taken something that is very particular in a flow state, and then he just bolts it on to this thought that he had, and without considering like the variables that make up a flow state. I think there's so many better arguments of what is dictated to create a flow state and why than the two weird variables of whether you're a master, whether you care about people around you, and then also care about like challenging yourself as well as comparing yourself to others around. I think that's such a weird take to jump and be like,
McFlufferkin said his
flow
logic
state
is a bit too rigid. He speaks well and provides a good argument, but it feels like it's going through a funnel.
Yeah, to me it feels like he started this with like, this is what I read this study and I'm gonna like, there's so many things that like this is related to this that could do it, but I'm like, I just think that like it diminishes the argument a little bit when he's like flow state now, because now I'm starting to think of like, I know what a flow state is. I've read data about flow states. I've understand what detonates flow states and also why you achieve these certain things. And to me, it's like this is very unrelated to like a flow state. The idea of like you comparing like a flow state to me is understanding about the right amount of challenge and the right amount of difficulty in it. And if you get to this point, then your brain has to be cognitive enough to keep yourself aware, but it's not so difficult to where you have to like overly try and your brain is working overtime. So you get into this thing. Honestly, the best state of this is honestly Doom. Doom, I felt like relaxed playing it because I was in this state of I understood what I needed to do, but it was still just enough going on to where I still needed to pay attention and do that stuff. That to me is a much better depiction of why you enter a flow state than you caring about like you like comparing your performance to your previous self and also to your environment, which is the thing that he's dictated is what we do. Or even just like the other argument is like effort versus like pride, essentially, of telling yourself that you're the best. Yeah.
The ever-growing challenge, which is exactly what makes video games such a magical time. So for the cascade of people who commented on the poll saying it depends or that they do a little bit of both, of course you do. These motivations are not mutually exclusive. The best way to think about it is you likely have a mastery stat and a performance stat. They might both be high, they might both be low, they might be a mix of values, they may vary depending on the game or activity or mood, but they do make a difference in your decision making. Just like patience or empathy or introversion, they're personality traits that are a factor in your life and not a hard law that you're going to follow. But understanding these motivations, I think, is important for all of us, because knowing that you tend to be a master may make you feel better about spending 200 hours on Monster Hunter and ignoring your backlog. This is just what you're built to do. Knowing you're a performer may make you not worry so much about leaving side quests and secret bosses undone.
Had enough of this, Josh.
If the challenge didn't entice you, listen to that feeling. You're trying to be honest with yourself. That's okay. Oh, and by the way, please don't bear resentment toward the people who taught you growing up for making you one way or the other. I know we made a big to-do about that talent versus effort praise study, but believe it or not, a study spanning several countries involving twins found that learning motivation is actually around 40% genetic. So regardless of how you were rewarded as a child, you were already predisposed to how you were going to be.
I buy that. I'm not sure I buy it's 40%, but I buy that it's a significant portion.
Teachers, be mad at your parents. And let's not forget that, again, goal orientation is just a factor in your gaming habits.
Okay, I'm happy with that. I think we read a good bit of it, or listened to it. I was enjoyable. I enjoy listening to concepts and ideas. Forgive me if I'm not the most like I maybe came across as me being like resentful or annoyed by him. That was not my intention. It's a realm that I quite enjoy, and I guess I don't know how to put it, but like I simultaneously really adore watching like all of these things, whether it's like learning about flow states, things like that, or whether it's about one of the things I went down the rabbit hole a long time ago was basically like, how do I put this in proper words? One of the questions I struggle with the most, I've even made a lot of Let's Talks in the past about this, but like when I was a younger man, I made a lot of, I was really frustrated with not knowing who I was as a person. And one of the things I always felt was that, like, no matter how hard I sometimes tried, sometimes the result was just nothing that my effort didn't actually culminate in meaning what I was hoping it would mean. And sometimes I dropped my bar pretty low. And I still didn't necessarily feel that way. I never felt like I got that. So I got really into this idea of like, who am I, as well as how do people like succeed, and how do people like discover who they are and actually like become great and win and like achieve the goals that they desire. And through all that effort, this was not it. For all that like information, those studies, the books I've read, all that stuff, it's that's not what I would associate. It was what's compelling these people who do like these exceptionally difficult challenges to be that. To me, and like some of the surface level stuff, and forgive me because it's been a while since I've learned all this stuff, but like a lot of it comes into when you're a kid, if you were told that you have the capacity to like do a thing really well. I see this all the time reinforced in actually my life, so I think the studies are actually true because I see it, but maybe that's just like, you notice something and then you can see it in real world because now you're aware of, you're looking for it, I don't know. But the idea is if you like tell a kid, you're good at this, you're good at this, you're good at this, they tend to be the kid that believes deeply that they're good about this. So when they stop doing well at it, their body automatically adjusts and starts to do more. So whether it's that they start to exercise more, whether it's that they start to get really, really sad and depressed, and the depression and sorrow are motivational things that basically like crush you so that you can then move on to you basically forces your body to change and to adapt. And it's usually you don't change about things you intrinsically believe within yourself. Like, for instance, if I told you that like in a week you're going to be known as like a cheater, a person who cheats on their spouse, how much would you be like, no, absolutely not, I'm not that kind of person, I would not do that to someone, fuck that. So like when you believe something about yourself and you've determined yourself to be this, when anything starts to test that, you're pushed hard as fuck back. Because that's just not what it is. You're like you conditioning of what you believe in yourself kind of becomes, who am I? So who am I is a bad question. This is what I came up with when I was a kid. It's more about who do you want to be. And if you understand who you want to be and you've determined to live by those said things, some people do this by religion. Some people have like religious beliefs that like condition them to take sacrifices and to not indulge in certain things because they've determined it to be a core fundamental of who they are. Some people just decide one day that that's important to them. Other people have life conditioning things where their parents cheated on their mom cheated on their dad or something like that, and they deeply intrinsically believe
Vlad,
that they're
we're
not
not a
doing
hive mind style chat that just all nods their heads and goes, true, ad nauseum.
No, for sure. I appreciate everyone popping in and telling their perspective, especially in good faith. I don't think anyone's here is trying to be like, you're wrong, because it's all just like your lived experience, etc. But yeah,
Catman 11,234 said there are other essays in the React tab I have pinned and send, not of similar content, but it's a similar style made by
I would love to
people.
watch them eventually. We can't always do it.
I had a blast seeing you in the chat watch this. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I had a good time too. It's always fun when something like affects you enough to pull an emotion out of you, even if it's negative, so to speak. But yeah, the only thing that we probably like, this took the entire stream, which was good. I had a great time, but we can't probably do all the time watching those bigger videos. And that wasn't even that big. That was just 20 minutes. But sometimes you got a lot to say, And it's a React stream, so like I don't feel that bad because you could always just I probably should show you guys the name of it. It's called Are you the master performer? Great video, well spoken, and there was research done with it. I didn't agree with the takeaways, but that's just me. But let me catch up on chat because I did go on a tirade there.
Lone Syndicate said, not my style of video personally, but discussion was
yeah,
nice.
It was interesting. I had a fun time, especially like I appreciate people who commented on like the breaking down their socio, like their state of how they grew up and what that could have played a focus in their thing. I also went through a phase of finishing games, playing demos, playing short games enough that was really choice effective. Rest of the fighting games you like because you get these certain things out of it. Raid says, I agree with Fluff. I don't really play fighting games much, but I never play them online.
McFlufferkin said channel as Daryl talks games for anyone that wants to check out more of his videos.
Yeah.
Personally, this may have been one of his weaker essays for how rigid he was about it.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I would watch more videos from him. I don't think he handled it poorly outside of like the takeaway and the variables and what they concluded. I thought were it's also just probably a rough idea that like condensing all of gamers into two categories is just a hard sell in general. Kat says, I am beaming at a level of Socratic discussion. This is so much better than if everyone just said, yeah, I get it, it's neat, and moved on. Love it. Yeah, well, it's tough because everyone says that until someone starts talking about something they really care about. Sorry. There's a lot of people I'm assuming here specifically who could take that, but sometimes it is difficult when like you deeply believe something and love something to not feel like an emotional charge to it. And to kind of like ground yourself. Even I sometimes struggle with that, especially with things that I care about, but I oftentimes always like going into the deep end and talking about stuff. Like I never liked when people told me like you can't talk about that subject, because I feel like that's not reasonable. Like you're going to have conversations in your life that are hard. It's good that you can communicate to such an extent that you can actually have those hard discussions, because there's going to be a time when you're going to need to. But yeah. There are other essays in this thing. Ragtab, I pinned them in the sent discussion. Yeah, these are definitely the more dedicated rack streams, like for beginning of the show. Yeah. Charles, also, man, today we devoured today. I was supposed to do stuff after the stream. Tough. I'll just do it. I was going to show you guys some thumbnails, but fuck it. I'll just figure it out. Yeah, he's a great channel. Yeah, he seemed good. Again, the quality was great. Again, it's very similar to what we do, except instead of talking about like studies and stuff like that, I just kind of talk about how I feel on certain things, and how I think some people feel about certain things. If I'm being a bit selfish, I love how long these. Yeah, no, like absolutely. It's fun to always get out, because again, what's tough is like sometimes there's streams that are shorter because I got a lot of stuff to do, or I'm kind of just getting tired that day and sleep well, or all these variables come in, so it's just a shorter stream. But today I had so much fun playing Doom that felt like an hour. So like this felt like a good energizing debate that felt like a good hour and a half, 2 hours. 2 hours. It's crazy that the 2.5 hours felt like an hour, and then this felt like maybe an hour, 2 hours. It felt like 2 hours. Having to think through why I'm feeling, why I feel, and why I reject what some of the things he's saying is mentally difficult, whereas zipping and zapping around the map and killing shit, pretty subconscious. But anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I can see you once again tomorrow. Oh, also, I didn't even notice that. Why do you guys see my taskbar, dog? Why is that a thing? That's weird that's doing that. There. Weird. I don't know why my taskbar is there. It's kind of the way we have to record right now, is really we're using the thing. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for tuning back in despite us balls deep in a React stream, etc., with the whole crashing and all that stuff. Appreciate you guys finding the stream again, even though we were kind of ending our day.
We've been silently dissecting what tabs are Hadada.
Which ones? There's not Hadada tabs, although, never mind. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I can see you again tomorrow. We'll be streaming at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Again, be aware that at some point within this week, I may have to delay the stream or something, so keep an eye on the scheduling of each stream. I should, hopefully, be able to manage, but just keep you guys up aware of that. I probably will just update the stream schedule rather than Discord tweet it.
GRINN got a Chang Li folder, I bet on it.
A Chang Li folder? Nah, because I think Chang Li is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't want to hide it to beauty. You want to see some goth chick crazy. Nonsense. Anyways, let's leave. We're ending this. Bye. I'm not talking more about this.